Monday, 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 Monday. It's that time. It is that time. I don't mind Mondays. I really don't. I know some people do. Not me. I'm a fan. I don't mind them. Good morning, Karen. I hope you are wonderful. I hope the world is treating you incredibly well. I hope everyone is having a good morning or afternoon or whatever it is. What's up, Doug? What's up, Tom? Good to see everybody. I hope everybody had a lovely weekend. Hello, George. Hope you are well. I know I had a really fun weekend. I hope everyone else did as well. I can't complain. My weekend was pretty cool. Got some stuff done. Had some fun. Lucy had a wonderful Black Cat Appreciation Day. If anyone was wondering how her Black Cat Appreciation Day was, it was good. She got some extra treats. We played a good bit. We watched some Netflix. I actually started there's a new series that little Steven Van Zandt is in. I actually started it. It's pretty enjoyable. So yeah, Lucy had a good one. Right, Luce? She's over on our cat tree right now, just living like a queen, doing it her way. And guys, it's Music Monday. So, we always kind of start off with a little music. I am wearing a Bad Religion t-shirt today because I went and I saw Bad Religion over the weekend. It was my third time seeing Bad Religion. It was my first time seeing them at a club. I've seen them 3 times. The first 2 times were at a festival. One time, the first time was at a Warped Tour. I was pretty young. I think I was like 20 or something like that. The second time was at the Surf City Blitz in Huntington Beach, and that was recent. And the third time was this past weekend at the Palladium in Los Angeles. Now, I bring this up. So when you're a short guy like me, the best thing you can do at a punk show. Now, first of all, I went by myself, which, I know some people hate going to shows by themselves. I don't mind it. So I went by myself, and one of the best things I can do at a punk show, if I really want to see what's going on, is to kind of get up against the barrier as soon as I can and then just stay there. Now, when I say the barrier, I don't mean like right in the center in the thick of it, because then you're just going to get pushed up against that barrier all night long. I mean off to the side, up against the barrier. You got a nice side view of everything that's going on. So I was able to do that during one of the opening acts, got a spot, stayed there. And this was a Bad Religion crowd, so it was folks of all ages. So it was kind of chill. I mean, there was a pit, of course, but it was like right in the center. And so I wasn't really close to it, which was good for me. Didn't really feel like being in there. Just not my thing these days. What are you going to do? I don't want to say I outgrew anything, but I guess just not my thing anymore. So I was off to the side. I could see everything. It was wonderful. And, I had a couple particular fun moments that I want to highlight. So like I said, I'm kind of getting older. I'm an older attendee. Well, I guess I'm in the middle, really, because at the Bad Religion show, the ages range from teenagers up to 60s. So there were people there that have literally been going to see Bad Religion for decades. But anyway, I was there. And at one point, this guy managed to sneak on the stage. I don't know how he pulled it off, but he somehow got on stage and he ran and he stage dove. Now, you weren't allowed to do that. You're not supposed to be on the stage. Somehow this guy pulled it off. He stage dove. And, even though I'm not 20 anymore, I couldn't help but root for that guy. And I get it. Stage diving is not the safest thing on the planet. I get that. But, when I was a kid, I used to go in the pit all the time. People would stage dive. Occasionally, you get a shoe in the head a little bit. And, I think the worst, I had a small bruise on my face once. So I get it. It's not the safest thing on the planet. But for the most part, they catch you, and then you're above people's heads. The tall folks help out. They help out the most. And it's a fun activity. And, I couldn't help but cheer for that. Now, of course, security was trying to find this guy and kick him out. He broke the rules. I get that. He broke the rules. But, I couldn't help but root for that guy. I was like, I hope they don't find him. And they didn't, which was good. Or at least I'm pretty sure they didn't. I was like, that guy, he made it on stage. He didn't cause any trouble. He didn't hurt anybody. He was just feeling the music, did a stage dive. And, even though I'm not 20 anymore, still rooting for that guy. What can you do? I get it. Not the safest thing in the world, but I'm rooting for that guy. What are you going to do? The other moment that I wanted to share. So I was again, I was up against the barrier. There were these two people there. It was two guys, and the one guy was older than the other, and the older guy was talking to the younger guy a lot, and was sort of, sharing information about the band, asking him if he was comfortable, asking him if he was okay. He was really concerned about the well-being of this younger dude who he was with. I had no idea what the relationship was. At one point, the guy turned to some of us who were standing around, because you're all in close proximity to each other, right? This is close to the front. We're pretty much at the front. Again, I was up against the barrier. And the guy goes, I saw Bad Religion for the first time when I was 16 years old. And it was here at the Palladium. And I stood in this exact same spot. That dude was standing in the exact same spot he stood for his first Bad Religion show when he was 16. And then he goes, and now I'm here standing in this exact same spot with my son. And it's my son's first Bad Religion show. And that was pretty freaking cool. That was just really cool. Like, that was just wow, man, this guy, it's come completely full circle. And here he is watching Bad Religion with his son in the exact same place he stood when I thought of shows that I went to now, first of all, the punk venue I went to when I was 15 years old and 16 years old, it has been closed for years now. So I don't think I'm ever going to have kids, but even if I did, I would never be able to recreate that specific moment. But still, that was a really cool story. And I was like, man, good for that guy. And his kid was having this amazing time. It was really, really cool. So I just wanted to share that. Song of the day, got to go with something Bad Religion. If you've never listened to Bad Religion before, start out with American Jesus or Generator. Start out with one of those. And those are two of my favorite songs by them. They're on my list of favorites. They're among their bigger songs. Start with those to really get a taste of what Bad Religion's all about. If you're a seasoned Bad Religion fan, you know the catalog kind of well, check out What Can You Do off the Suffer album. I love that song. It's on Suffer. It's kind of goofy and quirky and kind of like a little more poppier compared to the rest of the album, but the lyrics are really absurdist and funny. It's just a great song, and it's kind of a little it's a little different than the rest of the album in like a good way. I mean, I love that album. It's one of my favorite albums of all time. But yeah, What Can You Do off the Suffer album? Or kind of really dive into the Process of Belief and start with the title track, Process of Belief. All right, so there you have it. That's the song of the day, and I wanted to share those stories. So speaking of Bad Religion, started in the 80s. Speaking of the 80s, here's something Bernie Sanders had to say back in 1980. I wanted to share this today, so check this out. This is Bernie Sanders in 1980, kind of nailing the problem of the media.
Commercial television, as we know, is owned and controlled by corporate interests whose only concern is profit. It makes no difference how many times during the hour are interrupted by commercials. It makes no difference what the content of the programming is. The function of commercial television is only to sell profits and make money for the people who own the stations. Public television, however, is a totally different animal.
So he's pumping public television. That's what he's doing with this. Keep in mind, Bernie had a public access television show when he was mayor of Vermont. This is pretty bad. Why didn't he have a fanzine too? Like, why? He should have just went. He should have had a zine. This is the mayor zine. Here in the mayor zine, I interview Greg Graffin for Bad Religion. Next week, I'll be interviewing Glenn Danzig. That is right after my infrastructure plan and my public transit address. And then we'll also be talking about city parks. And then I'll be interviewing Jerry Only of the Misfits, along with Glenn Danzig. This is the 80s, so they are still getting along at this point. So that's awesome. All right, let's continue watching this.
Theoretically, at least, public television is owned by the people and is supposed to be working for the people for their own best interests.
I like how he said theoretically there, because I'm sure it was a much better landscape in 1980, but now, even those public airwaves have been bought up. Nice, polite Republicans, NPR, they get money from the Koch brothers now. Anyway, let's keep watching this.
With regard to this station, it is my view that the University of Vermont, who currently holds the license for Vermont ETV, should no longer be allowed to hold that license and hold that important position. I say this because I think the history of the University of Vermont is such that it is clear that UVM is an institution which is dominated by business interests who are hostile to the needs of low-income and working people. It is my view that we would see a great improvement in the quality of programming here at Vermont ETV if the license was switched to a newly formed nonprofit organization which allowed democratic elections for the members of the governing body. As the economic...
Wait a second. It's like he's calling for media accountability that most of the other countries in the world have. Most other industrialized countries, Norway, which has the #1 press freedom ranking in the world, they have stuff like this. They have elected bodies, governing bodies that oversee transparency in media. Bernie's calling for that, and he's calling out what he saw as corruption in the University of Vermont. Now, am I fluent on the specifics of what was going on in the University of Vermont in the 80s? I am not. I am not at all, and I'm not going to pretend to be. But it's interesting. He's calling out corruption he sees in an institution that would compromise a media outlet, and he's doing this in Burlington, which University of Vermont, kind of big man on campus, pun intended, in Burlington. He's taking it on anyway. That's pretty gutsy by a mayor. Just saying, that's really gutsy for a mayor to do. All right.
Situation in our country and in our state continues to deteriorate as housing becomes virtually unobtainable, as the price of food goes up, as gasoline goes to $1 or $1.50 a gallon.
Man, weren't those the days? Weren't those the days? Man, you can't help but do a double take there. Oh, $1, $1.50. Anyway.
It seems to me absolutely essential that if we are going to preserve democracy in this country and a decent standard of living, ordinary people are going to have to stand up and take responsibility for their own lives. No longer can they trust professors or UVM administrators. I think this station can play an important role in that process, and I hope it will. Thank you very much.
It's pretty cool. There's Bernie nailing the problem of the media, summing up the problem of the media, and he was doing this back in 1980, calling out what he saw as local corruption, not caring about what it cost him politically or could cost him politically in the future. Interesting. So Bernie Sanders, why I mentioned that, I mean, first of all, I just kind of thought it was a cool video, but but the main reason I mentioned that is because we got something breaking today. Bernie seems to have his thumb on the pulse of what's going on with media, with what's going on with transparency, with what's going on with the different issues that we face in big tech and big media. Well, guess what Bernie Sanders did today? And he is the first 2020 candidate to do so. And this is huge. You guys know that I've been working on a banned facial recognition campaign with Fight for the Future. The Sanders campaign was one of the presidential campaigns I reached out to. I reached out to a couple. Sanders was one of them. And guess what happened today? Bernie Sanders wants to ban facial recognition use by police. Democratic presidential candidate Bernie Sanders wants to put an end to police use of facial recognition software. Sanders called for the ban as part of a criminal justice reform plan introduced today ahead of a 2-day tour of South Carolina. The plan also calls for the ban of for-profit prisons and would revoke the practice of law enforcement agencies benefiting from civil asset forfeitures. In recent months, cities like San Francisco and Somerville, Massachusetts, have passed laws banning police and city department use of facial recognition softwares on the grounds of racial justice, privacy, and fears of misuse. All those fears are very high. All those fears are very valid. Fears. I fear fares. How do you feel about that? Do you fear fares? Anyway, all these fears are very valid. It has been misused by police. Facial recognition databases have been searched without warrants. They've been searched without probable cause. Police officers have tried to find information on an X. There is a huge racial bias in this very faulty software. A study in London found that it was faulty up to 98% of the time. They did a facial recognition scan in real time, and it was a train wreck. This stuff needs to be banned. Oh, and Silicon Valley, who's developing this software, they're also willing to sell it to private companies who can do whatever they want with it. Facial recognition software. That's not only an overreach and a breach of privacy, but it's also faulty most of the time. Private companies can have this. They can do whatever they want with it. Is it a big surprise that some of the first cities to ban this were the places where it's developed in? San Francisco, Oakland, first cities to say, no, get this out of our town. What does that tell you? Like what is, if somebody developed a new food product in Burlington, Vermont, and Burlington, Vermont was the first city that said, get this out of here, no thank you. Wouldn't you be a little like, maybe this food thing's not good? Maybe this food thing, we shouldn't be doing this. We shouldn't be eating whatever this is. It was banned in its own town. You know what's not banned in any towns? Drinking water from a mason jar. That's smiled upon. So Bernie Sanders, let's see what else is going on in this article. A range of policy experts and researchers have urged Congress to take action regulating law enforcement use of facial recognition software. Well, it's not enough. They need to ban it. It's too dangerous. It's too faulty. And there is no research. There's no research indicating that this makes us safer. There's no research indicating facial recognition software is making us any safer. There needs to be a ban on this technology in law enforcement. All right. So let's see here. What else is going on in this article? Speaking on such issues, okay. So I guess Pete Buttigieg also talked about this. But Sanders called for a straight up ban. And I guess Buttigieg talked specifically about artificial intelligence, as did Andrew Yang. But Sanders called for a ban. And he's the first 2020 candidate to do so. Well done. And by the way, you can go to banfacialrecognition.com to sign the petition. Banfacialrecognition.com. Thanks to Fight for the Future, there have been bans in Somerville, Massachusetts, in Oakland, California, and San Francisco, California. Cambridge, Massachusetts is about to become the fourth. Go to banfacialrecognition.com, sign that petition. Folks are noticing. This has been a movement on the internet that has been around for a couple weeks now. We've covered it on this show extensively. We've talked about facial recognition extensively. Movement for a People's Party endorsed it. Tim Canova endorsed it. And Bernie Sanders was the first 2020 candidate to pay attention, to listen. That's very telling. It's very telling. Because I myself reached out to several presidential campaigns, and I did not hear back from any of them except for Bernie Sanders. The Sanders campaign was listening. All right. Good job. Good job, Bernie. All right. So, speaking of people doing some wrong stuff. So, we talked about Steve King in Iowa, who recently made some ridiculous statements. And he's made ridiculous statements in the past. I mean, he has been a sympathizer for white supremacy. He has made these ridiculous pro-rape comments as of recent. Well, guess what? It kind of cost him. He held a town hall. How many people showed up? Well, there have been varying reports. The attendance ranges from 1 to 2. Seriously, some outlets are saying he had 2 people. Others are saying there was just literally 1 person. Now, I guess maybe there was like somebody from the staff or something who sat down, and that was where they were like, oh, there's 2 people. That's probably what happened because he had some staff there. But according to the local media in Iowa, there was actually 1 person, 1 actual attendee who showed up, and they interviewed her. So check this out. Interview, the only person who attended Steve King's forum. So here's the question. Does Steve King maybe just have 1 dedicated fan? Does Steve King maybe have 1 fan in Iowa who was like, this was all taken out of context? Those weren't actually white supremacist sympathizing quotes. Those weren't actually rape sympathizing quotes. They were taken out of context somehow. So you go back and you look at what he said. You feel like you need a shower. But somehow that was taken out of context. After everything he said, by the way, what I just said was really bad, and I don't mean any of it. They didn't include that part. That's what he actually said. He was like, oh, by the way, I was joking around about everything I just said. I don't mean any of that. Why are we joking around about something so heinous in this situation? I don't know. I'm a weird guy. What can I say? I don't know. But does he have 1 dedicated fan? Let's find out. Let's go to the article and find out. The only person who attended Steve King's forum. Look at that. Look at this empty podium. Look at this empty podium. You know, if Steve King decides to run for president, MSNBC would show this podium before they would show Bernie Sanders. All right. It was early Saturday morning, and Jessica Birch didn't feel like getting out of bed. Hungover and tired, the 21-year-old University of Northern Iowa student could easily have turned off her alarm. I remember those days. But the night before, she saw a Facebook event for Congressman Steve King's Town Hall Forum in Grundy County come across her feed. She felt a civic duty to attend. So she arrived. So basically, this was not a dedicated fan. This was a hungover 21-year-old college student who felt like she had a civic duty to attend. Is it because she's a fan of him? No, it's not. Let's keep going. All right. So there were a bunch of police cars there for security. Here's what the student, here's what Birch had to say. What was her first name again? Jessica. Here's what Jessica Birch had to say about it. She sees a bunch of police cars when she shows up. I looked at them. They looked at me. She said, of the 4 to 6 police officers. King's staff opened the door and she wrote her name. It was the only one on the sign-in sheet. A few staff and 1 photographer were the only people on hand. She planned on sitting in the back of the room. When King entered, he walked back to her to greet her, and then she moved herself closer. So here's what she has to say about it. It was very awkward. It was a very weird thing. Part of me wanted to leave, but it would be rude to leave, and the Midwestern part of me couldn't do that. So Steve King was able to have a town hall because of her Midwestern politeness. She was like, I'm too polite to get up, so this guy can have a town hall. This disgraced politician gets to have a town hall. And you know what? Kudos to her for staying, because I personally would have wanted to stay as well. Although, you know what? For me, it wouldn't have been politeness. It would have been, I want to watch this guy squirm. He had a town hall, and the only person who showed up is me, and I'm not a fan. All right, but anyway. So let's go back to the article. Oh, there's an ad for John Delaney. We're going to get to him in a minute, by the way. We're going to get to him in a little bit in this show. Anyway, hold that thought. King began his 1-person forum with a joking reference to Rick Santorum, reminiscing on how Santorum thanked a woman who was once his only attendee at a caucus event. Oh, King. You and Rick Santorum have a lot more than that in common, Steve King. You guys actually have a lot in common. And don't worry, you can always be a contributor to Fox News. All right. So King responded, and I guess he talked about his issues, gave a bunch of his nonsense. Here's some of his nonsense here. Our welfare system that we have, this is Steve King, quote, is a disincentive for them to go to work. I guess he's parroting his talking points from 1994. Employers will come to me about Section 8 housing. Okay, so now he's bagging on Section 8. All right, so Birch politely responded, my question really wasn't about Section 8 people, Birch politely responding. The people I've dealt with, they're hardworking. Housing has been an important issue, and it's just one of those things that's just never talked about like ever. She told the starting line, we talk about healthcare, we talk about immigration. So she brought up the issue of housing. She brought up the issue of housing as an issue important to her, and he just spit out some right-wing talking points at her about how welfare is bad because it's disincentivizing people to work, and how Section 8 housing isn't good. That's what he did. She brought up housing, the housing crisis. You know how I feel about housing? I feel that housing should be designated a human right, and we should not have any... Yeah, you know, as I get older, I'm against private property. I don't think it should be a thing. And when I say that, I don't mean this isn't my shirt. This is my shirt. I mean housing. I think housing should be a human right, and we should not have any, like, housing should be, it should be overseen, and it should be guaranteed that everybody has a right to housing, and we're all treated as renters, and we're treated fairly as renters. Like, you pay into the housing system for so long, and then eventually, you know, your fees go down as if you actually owned your home. Anyway, we don't have time to get into all that. That would be like if I was starting a society from scratch. That would be one of the things I would have there. There wouldn't necessarily be private property. You could live in your place as long as you want, and then you pay rent on it just as if you're a normal renter. But housing would be a human right. Housing would be guaranteed for everybody, regardless of their income level, regardless of their ability to afford it. And we would do that by having it be overseen and run by the municipality in the city. Anyway, don't have time to dive into that right now. But Steve King, she brought up the issue of housing. Steve King just spit out some right-wing talking points to her. So let's see what else happened in her experience. So King, who at one point had a Confederate flag on his desk. All right. He then spoke about the civil rights area. Okay. So here we go. This is great. Here we go. Once the hour-long forum was finished, King's staff encouraged her to get a photo with the congressman. I politely declined, mostly because I plan to run for office and I don't need a picture of Steve King and I shaking hands in the future. Ha! Yes! That is brilliant. Hey, will you get a picture with the congressman? No. Why doesn't she want to? Because she plans on running for office and she doesn't need that skeleton in her closet. Steve King, how did you not just resign in disgrace immediately after that moment? I need some more coffee just because of how ridiculous that whole, for instance, is. One person shows up to your town hall, Steve King, and it's not a fan. It's not like, oh, you got one fan. It's somebody who doesn't like you but feels a civic obligation because she's interested in politics. She might run for office one day. She disagrees with you on everything. She doesn't agree with any of your stances. She's just there because she feels like she has a civic obligation. She wanted to talk to you about housing, and I'm sure your answers disappointed her immensely. And then when she had an opportunity to get a photo with you, she declined because she knows that would come back to haunt her later because she plans on running for office, and she knows that archaic right-wing mouthpieces like you are slowly going away, Steve King. You're slowly going the way of the buffalo. Not quick enough. Not quick enough. Politicians like Steve King need to get primaried out, and they need to get primaried out years ago. But it's slowly shifting. And the Rick Santorums and the Steve Kings of the world, they're going away. They're going away. A lot of times what replaces them are just Republicans that talk slightly more politely. But they're going away. We'll try to be. That's hilarious. You wouldn't even get a picture with them. Will you get a pic? No, this could, no, I mean, I try, this could show up on social media, and I'm trying to date, you know, this could hurt that. I don't want to do this. Yeah, no thanks. I'm going to pass. I don't want a picture. How did Steve King not just resign in disgrace after that happened? How did he not just be like, yep, it's over for me. I am totally done. This is humiliating. That's what he should have done. If Steve King had any self-awareness, he would have resigned in disgrace right then and there. Maybe he still will. It's not too late. We'll keep an eye on it. Maybe he did. Maybe as of the recording of this, he just resigned in disgrace. Well, let's find out. Being Steve King resigned. Oh no, it looks like he didn't resign, but instead he asked for an apology. He said he deserves an apology over the coverage of his rape and incest comments. You know, that coverage was really unfair to him. What did they do? They quoted exactly what he said. It's really unfair. They quoted him. Shucks. All right, Steve King, totally unaware. Has one person show up to his town hall, thinks he's owed an apology from the media. Good job, Steve King. All right. Speaking of train wreck politicians, or I guess yeah, he's still a politician. He's done stuff. John Delaney, the guy. Lucy, what's up? Are you coming over? You coming to hang? Yeah, I know. You're John Delaney, and you're like, I do not like that guy. I have things to say. You can hop up if you want. All right. So John Delaney made the news again. John Delaney is the nominee, or the candidate, rather. Excuse me, misspoke there. He's running for president in 2020. Unlike John Hickenlooper, he has not had enough self-awareness to realize he's just humiliating himself and he needs to drop out. What is his big focal point? What is the big policy position he is passionate about? Making sure people don't get health care. That's what he is most passionate about. He wants to make sure people don't get health care. Even Elizabeth Warren grilled him. Even Elizabeth Warren was like, why do these people take the time to run for president to tell everybody what we can't have? He talks about how we can't do anything about college. We can't do anything about healthcare. We can't. And then he has this ridiculous insurance industry friendly plan. Well, here's something he did recently. Check this out. John Delaney just asked a group of seniors how many have a Medicare supplemental plan. Most hands went up. I then asked how many would vote for someone making that plan illegal. No hands went up. We need universal healthcare with options like I propose with better care. Okay, here you have somebody who is running for president who is bragging about the fact that they are lying to old people. Medicare for All would not make the supplemental plans they have illegal. All Medicare for All does is it duplicate plans. Can't happen. So it's going to make Medicare for All more extensive. It's going to make Medicare more extensive. More stuff is going to be covered, including dental and vision, a big focus on preventative care. There will be more things covered. And duplicative plans will not be allowed. But supplemental things like cosmetic things and stuff like that, there's still going to be a marketplace for that. That's what Medicare for All does. So if somebody has a supplemental plan, it's not going to be made quote unquote illegal. It's going to be unnecessary in some cases. If it's just a duplication of what you're going to get under the new Medicare, it's just not necessary anymore. You're not going to need it. So it's not making any of your supplemental coverage, quote unquote, illegal. It might render some of it out of existence due to it not being necessary anymore. And gee, does it really bum you out? You don't get to give a bunch of money to a for-profit middleman. Does that bum you out? It's going to bum out nobody. People don't like their insurance companies. This guy's just, hey, Lucy, this guy's just trying to scare people. And he's bragging about it. He's lying to the elderly. Well, what's he going to brag about next? I went to a local park, pushed an 8-year-old off a swing. What is wrong with you, John Delaney? He's bragging about it. He's lying to old people. Bragging. He's proud of that. He's scaring them. He's using fear-mongering. Your plan's going to be illegal. You're not going to have health. No, that's not what it does. That's not what happens. That's not accurate at all. The way you just described it is very misleading and deliberately deceptive. Why is John Delaney doing that? Why is he bragging about lying to old people? Well, the reason he's bragging about it is because he's so tone deaf and clueless. He doesn't realize that that's what he's doing. You know, you'd think that if he's going to lie to a susceptible group of people like the elderly, he would just sort of keep that to himself, not brag about it. But he's totally clueless. But the real reason he's spreading all this propaganda, guess what? Guess where this guy has a lot of money? John Delaney. Look, there's his dumb face. Presidential candidate who attacked Medicare for All is invested in healthcare companies. Color me not surprised in the slightest. I mean, we all knew this. Bernie called him out for it a couple debates ago. He's like, you make money off of healthcare. Well, how much is the question? How much money is this guy making off of healthcare? Turns out it's in the millions, folks. Medicare for all right. So here's some of his dumb quotes that we don't need to rehash. Sludge reviewed Delaney's latest financial disclosure and found that he has as much as $3.2 million invested in healthcare companies. And he's worth $28 million, by the way. This guy is worth $28 million, and he has millions invested in healthcare and the pharmaceutical industry. And who's against Medicare for all? Healthcare and the pharmaceutical industry, the health insurance industry, because it's going to stop their ability to price gouge and be predators towards our health. And he doesn't want that. How bad does he not want it? He wants it so bad. He's willing to continue a presidential campaign where he's just humiliating himself on television. And he's lying to old people. He's lying to old people. He's bragging about lying to the elderly. How greedy of a person do you have to be to realize? I mean, he's got to realize what he's doing. He's got to realize that he's humiliating himself up there, that he's blatantly lying about healthcare to pad his own pockets. He's worth $28 million. John Delaney, think of all the money you've spent on your campaign, all the millions of dollars you've wasted on your campaign. Is it really? Lucy just showed you her asshole, John Delaney. My cat was just like, here's my asshole. You're a terrible, terrible, corrupt person. I mean, that was so poetically appropriate what my cat just did there. She can't talk. She doesn't have the ability to talk. So she just did the most defiant thing she could have done when I'm talking about John Delaney's corruption. She just showed her asshole. That's what she did. She was like, here's my ass, John Delaney. Here's an ass for an ass. Because you lie to the elderly and you lie to the American public and you pump millions of dollars into your nonsense campaign, all because you have money invested in the health insurance industry. And really, are the millions of dollars you're investing in your campaign worth it? I mean, even putting the moral argument aside, I mean, morally, you're absolutely repulsive, but you don't care. Is it worth the millions you're spending on your campaign? I mean, obviously, money's the most important thing in the world to you. Is it really, like, are you going to get that big of a payoff from the money you have invested in the health insurance? I mean, it says you have $3.2 million invested in the health insurance industry. Haven't you wasted more than that on your campaign? Wouldn't it have been worth it for you to have just invested your money elsewhere? You have $28 million. What do you need? What do you possibly need? What can you possibly want? You have enough money that you will never want. Your children will never want. Their children will never want. And yet, you spend your time on a campaign. You spend hours and hours and days and months of your life on a campaign to make sure people can't get health care that they need. What's wrong with you? And you have a family. How is nobody in your family sitting you down and being like, what's wrong with you? I mean, this is... John Delaney has a serious mental condition. I mean, honestly, like, how greedy can you get? I mean, this is... Gluttony is one of the 7 deadly sins. And this is gluttony to the nth most degree. This guy spending all of these resources to just prevent people from getting health care and lying to the American public and then bragging on Twitter that he lies to the elderly. Wow. Wow. John Delaney. John Delaney. His campaign is pretty painy. I don't know. There we go. I hope he gets some self-awareness. I mean, if ever you wish a Charles Dickens story would just come to life, it's when John Delaney does drop out, it will be because 3 spirits visited him. That'll be why. And they will just be like, you have more money than you could ever possibly need. You have more money. Why are you spending all this time and all this energy trying to make sure people can't have healthcare? Guess what? If everybody gets healthcare tomorrow and Medicare for all happens, yeah, your insurance stocks won't be worth as much. That's true. But you know what's also going to happen? You're still going to be rich as hell. John Delaney. Hopefully he gets a visit from Three Spirits and he drops out. But that's probably not going to happen anytime soon. All right. Let me see what you guys are saying. John Delaney. By the way, shout out to our sponsor, ZT.com, ZHITEA.com. Their tea kind of rules. ZT.com. Check it out. Oh, man. Yeah, you know it. Here we go. Betavirus. I like that. Betavirus. Thank you very much for the Super Chat contribution. George Allen, thank you very much for the Super Chat contribution. Convo Couch. Nice shirt, pal. You owe me an Italian hero. Thank you very much, Convo Couch. And shout out to their show, The Convo Couch. We've been doing some collaborative streams. Why did I say that all goofy? I just made that sound like the geekiest thing ever. We've been doing some collaborative streams. Yay! But yeah, myself along with the Convo Couch, we've been doing some collaborative streams where I stream with Pasta and Fiorella over the Convo Couch. They do some fun stuff. We had a really fun thing last week, and maybe we'll do something this week. Keep your eyes and ears open for that. Maybe it'll happen. Maybe it'll happen. So thank you. Thank you, Betavirus. Thank you, George Allen. Thank you, Convo Couch. Guys, tour dates. I got them. First of all, this week, locally, if you're in the Los Angeles area, this week is Ron Placone and Friends at Flappers Comedy Club in Burbank. Who's on the lineup this week, you say? That's Thursday night, 7:30 p.m. at Flappers Comedy Club in Burbank. The lineup this month, Eddie Pepitone, Camilla Cleese. I'm going to be there. Anthony Calderone's going to be there. It's a fantastic lineup. Mark Brazil from That 70s Show and 30 Rock. Yeah, that's right. 30 Rock, That 70s Show. He's going to be there. It is a fantastic lineup this month. Lenny Shelton from Politics Night. You guys know Lenny from Politics Night. He's going to be there. Katie Love from The Katie Love Show. She's going to be there. Fantastic lineup. I'm so stoked for this show. Thursday night, if you're not doing anything, ronplacone.com for those tickets. But if you email me real quick, ronplacone.com, and you say you heard it on Get Your News On with Ron, I'll put you on the guest list. So email me now for free admission to that show. Email me, ronplacone.com. If you're in the Los Angeles area, want to come to Ron Placone and Friends this Thursday, email me, ronplacone.com. I'll put you on the guest list. You and as many spots as you want. Also, Upper Midwest, we're coming. September 4th, Omaha, Nebraska. September 5th, Sioux Falls, South Dakota. September 6th, Madison, Wisconsin. September 7th, Minneapolis, Minnesota. And September 8th, Iowa City, Iowa. Get your tickets now at ronplacone.com. November, Australia, we're coming. Get your tickets. Don't wait. Melbourne, Sydney, Perth, and Adelaide. Get your tickets now for Australia. They're going fast. ronplacone.com. We cannot wait to see you in Australia. So stoked to be going there. If you want to support this show on the sustainability end, please do consider becoming a patron. Patreon.com/ronplacone. For a give what you can level, you get all kinds of exclusive content, including my album. You get dialogues between myself and Lucy. You get exclusive videos not available anywhere else. You get full stand-up clips not available anywhere else. And I'm going to be having office hours. That's something else I'm going to be doing, which I'm really stoked about. I'll be describing that more soon. But anyway, patreon.com/Ron Placone. Help me expand the show. I just got a new laptop designated for streaming. I'm not using it yet because I haven't had it all set up yet. I started last night, but I wasn't able to finish because I got tired. Anyway. But streams should be a bit sleeker soon. Should be a bit more flawless soon, and I was able to make that equipment upgrade because of you. So if you are so able, patreon.com/Ron Placone. Please like these videos, share, make sure you subscribe, let the ads play in a separate window, and don't just do that for me. Do that for all the content creators you know and love because that helps sustain our channel. This has been Get Your News On with Ron. You know the drill. She bounced over there. She was hanging out for a little bit. But she's coming back. You heard me. Come here, Lucy. We'll be back tomorrow, same time, same channel, 1 p.m. Eastern time, 10 a.m. Pacific time. Until then, you know the drill. Lucy, she's rummaging over there somewhere. But you know the drill. Lucy says meow. I say peace. Peace.